and welcome to BookTrib's 15 Minutes with a Merrill Media production. Today, we are so excited to welcome New York Times and USA Today bestselling author Kristen Ashley. Kristen has written everything from contemporary to paranormal, and as you'll hear later, she's even got some new shoes that she's filling, which is very exciting, coming in March. She's written more than 10 series, including the insanely popular Rock Chicks and Dream Man series. Plus, she has much more coming through in 2017. So stay tuned. Most recently, however, we are talking about Rock Chick Reawakening, a 1001 Dark Nights novella, also part of the Rock Chick series. And Kristen has been featured on BookTrib.com as Author of the Month. So go check that out if you're interested in more. Welcome, Kristen. It is so awesome to talk to you today.
Well, it's cool to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. We're glad to have you. So for all of the Rock Chick fans, which we know they are super excited that they're getting Daisy and Marcus's story, what can you kind of tell us about what's happening in the 1001 Dark Nights novella?
Actually, this is a very funny first question because Liz Berry at 1001 Dark Nights and our publicist KP have talked about this a lot because I didn't want anything going out. I barely wanted excerpts going out. I wanted no spoilers at all because Daisy and Marcus are such a very, very close couple in my heart. I actually never thought I'd tell their story because it was really rocky and very emotional, and I didn't want to be there with them, and particularly Daisy. But then when I got to writing it, it was really easy. It flowed really well. I just loved being with them and in Daisy's head. And it was such a gift. It was so precious to me that I want all the Rock Chick fans to experience it like that. So I think that most people are going to expect that, they're getting Daisy and Marcus's stories. And since we've known Daisy, she's introduced in Rock Chick Rescue. So we've known her through 7 books. And people know a lot about her, and there's some kind of traumatic circumstances that revolve around them getting together. Outside of that, I'm really reluctant to say anything because there are a lot of lovely little gems that they've given me to give to my readers in this novella. So it does have a happily ever after, though.
Well, I love that, and I think that there is something about that makes the reader all that more ready to go, I need to go read that right now, because if she won't even tell me anything about it, I need to read it now. So I think that's really exciting, and I know that myself, I'm so ready. It is on my Kindle, and I'm ready to go devour. So I love that about the series, too. It resonates, and it has over time. It's just been a lovely series to read along the way. So I think we're all very happy that we're getting that story from you. What was it like for you? I know you mentioned it flowed really easily, but were there any, you said you were worried about it. Did you hit any moments revisiting this Rock Chick series where you thought, oh, maybe I could go on, or, maybe this wasn't a good idea? Was there any point along the road that kind of stuck out to you?
No, I had a variety of worries. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to tell a good story for Daisy and Marcus. But, the Rock Chicks are very much a certain voice. Mm-hmm. And they're very quick paced, and they're very humorous, and they're very stream of conscious with the heroine. And we were just in a place with Daisy, especially at the beginning of the book, where you're not going to get any hilarity. And so I was worried that people would be very disappointed with a kind of a more somber note. But Daisy's Daisy. She's not somber for very long. Mm-hmm. So she kept it popping, and I fell into that whole the voice of the Rock Chick series very, very easily, even though I had been away from it for years. So and then after that, honestly, I wrote it in a week. And I'm a very fast typer, and I'm a very fast writer. And when I get into a book, nothing else happens. I not to be gross, but sometimes, I won't shower for a couple days because I'm just writing. That's all I do. I sleep and I write. And But a week for that long of a book is still pretty fast. But that's
Yeah.
how well it came to me.
Wow. Okay. Now, touching on Heaven and Hell is probably goes down as one of my favorites. I just really loved it, and I actually listened to it in audiobook version, but it was so good. And you have updated readers on your site recently saying that we are maybe possibly getting Hap and Luciana's book, which I'm super excited about. Any news on that front or word?
Well, I'll give you an exclusive right now. I had hoped in December to get to work on something, and I didn't actually get to work on it. But it's such a project that that I can do it as I'm working on other things, including writing other things. But I've decided, because the experience with Daisy and Marcus was such an amazing experience, that I've decided to write my own personal anthology called Loose Ends. And in it, I will be telling stories, and they will be novella length or just short stories, to either give you stories that you've been looking for, like Hap and Lucy or Emma and Lachlan, or Laura and Robin from the Magdalene series, as well as giving you glimpses into people's lives that you've come to love. So I don't know how it's going to shape. It's just going to be what comes to me at the time. I've already written a little ditty for Todd and Stevie to put into it, Todd and Stevie from the Rock Chicks. So, but whenever I get a collection of stories that's long enough to release, I will release that, and I'm kind of hoping Hap and Lucy will be in that.
Oh my goodness, that is so exciting. Well, hey, you heard it here, everyone, first. Thank you so much for that. For those who aren't sure which series to read first, you have a super detailed and helpful reading order list on your website, kristenashley.net, everyone. And at one point, you mentioned that it wasn't so convoluted writing the books, but explaining it seems confusing. How did you keep it all straight? How did you figure all of that out in your head over time?
Well, I think that my characters are my friends. I know that might sound weird, and probably a lot of writers will tell you the same thing, though. They live on in my head, and they're happy, but they still argue the trash going out and all that kind of stuff. But so when I write, if I need a commando, if I need a private investigator, if I need a security specialist, or if I need a graphic designer, or if they're somebody's from Denver, or somebody's from Brownsburg or something, I'm going to have a whole bevy of characters that I can just slide in there, that I'm going to want to spend time with, and my readers are going to want to spend time with, so they slide in there. Like in Bounty, we had a lot of cameos in my Colorado Mountain series, the last of my Colorado Mountain series, because there was just so now so many to choose from. So because they just live on, they just show up. And unfortunately, as I'm writing the books, this is happening. But somebody that comes to my books later and hasn't written them or read them as I've released them is going to be totally lost. But that's why I have the reading order. But also, it's kind of fun because people will, like, I have a surprise character show up from one series in another series, and nobody knows that's going to happen. And I always worried how people would come to it from much later, now that years have passed, and I still get tweets like, I can't believe she showed up in that book. So it works for everybody in the end, regardless of how they read it.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. So the Dream Man series, I want to talk about really quickly, has spun off into the Chaos series, which I hate saying I'm super behind on, but it is on my 2017 first to read list. There's a long one, which I'm sure you have as well.
Yes.
Can you kind of walk us through a little bit that series, kind of what's happening there, what the series is about, and then are we seeing anything after On the Wind, or?
Rock Chick was actually the Dream Man series was actually a spinoff of the Rock Chick series, which Chaos is a spinoff of. And right now there's 4 books in the Chaos series. So there's Own the Wind, Fire Inside. I'm looking at my I should have it on the top of my head. Ride Steady and Walk Through Fire. And I envision this. I envision this series going another 3 books with 3 more characters in the motorcycle club. That would be Hound and Snapper, and with the bookend of Rush, because Tack started it with Motorcycle Man in the Dream Man series, and Rush is Tack's son. So that will bookend my motorcycle club writing career. And I don't know anything about what's happening with Rush, but Snapper and Hound have both come to me very, very strongly. In fact, they're vying to be who will be written first. So I'm actually writing the finale to the Magdalene series, and I have this huge 8-month work schedule that I created, and I don't know what I've slotted in after that, but I do know more chaos is coming. When it will be released, I don't know. I've already got 4 books finished that are coming out this year, between now and June. It might be next year, but I will be getting back to them very soon.
Wow, fantastic. Following up on that, you mentioned how the characters really push in your mind to have their story written. How do you decide who you're going to go with first? Who ends up being the stronger voice, or how do you make that distinction?
Well, sometimes I have to be very careful about giving my readers what they've been waiting for a very long time. So sometimes it really isn't my choice. I have to kind of quiet the ones. I mean, truthfully, I would have written Hound and Snapper story right after I finished with High's story, Walk Through Fire. But I really needed to. I had everybody was asking me for the next Colorado Mountain, and then and the next Fantasyland, and I can't. I'm a reader, and if I had to wait like 5 years for the next book in the series, and I've had to, and it's not fun. So I really kind of what I'm focusing on doing right now is trying to close out some of these series. So people don't have to wait so long for the next book to come out. They can see the next book come out right away. Sometimes, like with the series that I'm going to be introducing this year, the Honey series, I just can't shut them up. They just say the story needs to be told. You have to do this. And I actually, with the Deep End, which is coming in March, I honestly, this is true, like 2 days, I sat around my house staring into space, letting this story play in my head, because I was refusing to let myself go up and type it out, because I thought if I let it play in my head, it would leave me alone.
Quiet.
And I just lost 2 full days of my life to doing this, very enjoyably, I might add. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I walked upstairs all grubby with a Diet Coke and just started going for it. And the rest is history.
I love it. Well, since we're on the topic, let's talk about it. So the first book in your new series is The Deep End. It's the Honey series, and it sounds absolutely amazing already. So what can you tell us about it?
Well, the history of this, there's a very long history of this, but in my Fantasyland series, when I was writing Wildest Dreams, Valentine, who's a witch in that series, had a very, very, very saucy sex scene in that series, which at the time when I was publishing, I felt was a little bit too much for my readers. It was very uncharacteristic of me.
Okay.
So I deleted it. And then when I wrote Broken Dove, which is the 4th in that series, I actually wrote a companion novella alongside that series that I was going to publish, or alongside that book that I was going to publish, with instructions, go to this book and back and forth. So people who didn't want a BDSM erotica from me didn't have to have it in Broken Dove. But if they did want to see it, they could buy a companion novella and they could read the book together. Well, I was enjoying that quite a bit, but when you're writing 2 books at the same time, it takes that one book a lot longer to write. So I eventually had to table it and table the Valentine story and write Broken Dove, just finish Broken Dove. But I had wanted to write a story with a a dominatrix, and an alpha sub. So a very alpha male, very KA hero type of person who's a submissive in play. He's not a submissive entirely in sex, but play and sex are two different things. So I then read, and I have to admit that a part of me not wanting to do this was me being chicken to take this leap, because this is kind of extreme stuff. And then I read Joey W. Hill's Natural Law. And not only is Joey a truly phenomenal writer, just in the craft, and a very good storyteller, it was just a raw, beautiful, wonderful alpha sub story. And I thought, I'm never going to do it as good as Joey because she's the master or the mistress. But I'm going to go for it. And so she gave me, and she knows this, I give her total credit. I fangirled her entirely. I found her email online. I didn't even introduce myself. I just spewed all this love to her. I just went, that's when it unleashed. And I thank her for that because she led the way with that for sure.
Wow. So can you talk about the first couple of characters, who they are?
Talk about whatever you want. The first two characters are Amelie and Olivier, or Ollie. She's a dominatrix and independently wealthy, and he's a firefighter. And he is struggling with his sexuality. He is uncertain what it means, because he's definitely a man's man, and he kind of doesn't really get what's driving him. So fortunately, he finds Amelie, and she pushes him over the deep end. So and the second book is about Branch and Evangeline, and it's much darker book in the sense that he has some serious demons that don't have anything to do with his sexuality. He has post-traumatic stress, and he's perfectly fine. Whereas Ollie is struggling with what he likes to in the bedroom or in the playroom. Branch has no problems with it at all. He's always been like that. He's always gone for it, and he's always had mistresses, so he's totally cool with it. It's the emotional part with him that he's not cool with, that he has to be pushed to the farthest edge, which is finding himself emotionally. And Evangeline, fortunately, is the perfect person to take him there. So I'm really pleased with both of them. I'm really pleased with how wonderful and attractive and sexy these men are, and how loving and adoring these women are, and yet their roles are reversed.
Right.
And I'm really pleased with the fact that this is definitely a turning it on its head of how I tell a story. For me, sex is very important in a relationship, and so I don't really shy away from telling about my heroes and heroines having that connection. But it's a part of a larger connection. In the Honey series, the love story, they fall in love through the sex. So they find their connection, and they find their trust, and they, Ollie even flirts while they're in a scene. So it's really kind of interesting for me to take out a lot of that stuff and really concentrate it with just the two main characters. And I had a blast.
Wow, it sounds so exciting to read, and the research must have been super interesting.
Yeah, well, because I thought Joey was making things up, because I'm not. Joey's in life, I'm not in the life, so I had to, so I typed in alpha sub. Type in alpha sub. There's a lot to read about it. I was like, oh, okay, here's another one. Ooh, there's another one. It was great.
Oh, that's so funny. So you quickly, let's talk about your writing schedule, because it seems insane to someone who's not doing it. So you have a very long to-do list, I'm sure. What's kind of coming down the pike, as we've talked about the Honey series, of course, but what else do you have going on for you?
I will be doing, I'm cutting back on travel this year in order to concentrate on writing. So we've got Rock Chick Reawakening that was out on January 3rd, and then the Honey series with The Deep End and The Farthest Edge out in March and June. And then I'm releasing a Audible exclusive book. It's a standalone book. It's phenomenal.
Oh.
I love it. It's amazing. That will be released on May 2nd, another exclusive for you.
Okay, May 2nd.
And it will be released in print and digital in November. I think the release date will be November 7th, but we need to. That's tentative, but it will be early in November as I can get it out. So right now I'm writing Court's story for the Magdalene to finish up the Magdalene series.
Okay. Wow. Busy. You're already looking at next New Year's.
I know, I am.
Wow. Well, this has been absolutely amazing, and I've been so excited to talk to you. Rock Chick Reawakening is out, so everyone download it, go get it. You can visit KristenAshley.net or 1001darknights.com and go check out the awesome novella that you haven't read yet, but you should. Kristen,
yes,
thank you so much. It was a blast, and I hope maybe down the line this year or something we get to do it again.
That would be awesome. I'd love to.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you, and have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.